Just when we thought we have had enough at the Madlanga Commission regarding the allegations that are following Julius Malema, especially in relation to the Bertobrite tender, new information has emerged. And I want to tell you that it will leave you in shock.
Ended up winning the tender, but they needed political cover, and that's where Malema came in. And Malema and Marshal Dlamini. And over the course of the months of this tender process, Kganyago paid Malema and Dlamini 15 million rand via their front companies. So via 3 front companies, two ultimately belonging to or used for the benefit of Malema and the EFF, and 1 used for Marshal Dlamini's benefit.
On the other hand, it looks like the IPID has had its breakthrough together with the Madlanga Commission task team, because Ekurhuleni officials such as Imogen Mashazi, Gxasheka, Kemi Behari, and Julius Mkhwanazi have been arrested. In this video, let us talk about what is going on, because if it's not dramatic, I don't know what it is for you.
You have a situation here to show. I just want to show how this thing actually played out. The disciplinary charges stopped on the 20th of June. 2 weeks down the line, a report gets served that seeks to give Advocate Kemi Behari and Gxasheka a 600,000 rand increase. And that report does not provide any basis why such increases must be effected.
So what is going to happen in this video is that I'm going to be covering a couple of topics, and you can choose what you want to actually listen to first. And obviously I'd like it for you to listen to everything, but I'll put timestamps for you to watch what you think you are more interested in. I'm not expecting you to watch everything, but if you can watch everything. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to start first with Ekurhuleni, what is happening there, move along to Julius Malema, and then talk about what is happening with the Treasurer General and the trouble that our acting National Commissioner is finding herself in with the complaints that has been lodged against her. And then we'll talk about what is happening with Brown Mogotsi and conclude this video with what is happening in Zimbabwe. So let us get to Ekurhuleni, which is the first topic. So we know that yesterday there's been a big operation that was conducted by the Madlanga Commission task team, which then gave effect to arrest at Ekurhuleni.
The Commission's recommendations task team is currently conducting a takedown operation. With the operation currently underway, the SAPS will not comment on any aspect of the operation or any matters arising from it. No further information will be provided until the operation has been concluded.
We know that from last week, there's been certain arrests that have been made in relation specifically to the precious stones, of which I have an episode on that. I don't know why I have not published it. I know probably, tomorrow I might publish the episode on that, because there is new evidence that Etienne van der Walt is actually bringing forward, which is actually, bearing Julius Mkhwanazi. It's literally putting Julius Mkhwanazi at the scene. But we'll talk about that in the particular episode that I'm going to release. But after that, a lot of people are asking themselves questions as to why is it that Julius Mkhwanazi has not been arrested, specifically with those officials that were arrested, including that businessman, which is Etienne van der Walt. And little did we know that they have other plans. Actually, the Madlanga Commission task team has other plans, and they want to start making their arrest, which is why they arrested Julius Mkhwanazi, Imogen Mashazi, Gxasheka, and Kemi Behari. So you might ask yourself, what is going on? Why are they being arrested? What is this about? So you guys remember the blue lights that Mama Cat was busy doing there, like yo-yo, playing with them like yo-yo there on social media? That is what it looks like this case is about.
On her Instagram account, Cordelia Kabeng posted a video from within a vehicle. Emergency lights can be seen fitted to the dash, and a siren can be heard blaring as the car weaves through traffic. She describes this as blue lights to drop off the Queen and her cubs. Another video shows her travels as part of a cavalcade. The vehicle trailing hers is fitted with blue dash and grille lights. The use of blue lights is governed by the National Road Traffic Act, and their use is limited to the police and law enforcement. Unauthorized use is a criminal offense and can result in fines or imprisonment. Who is Cordelia Kabeng, and how did she come to enjoy her own personal blue light cavalcade? News 24 investigates. Kebeng's Instagram account is a tour of wealth, showcasing international holidays as well as fine clothing and accessories. But another video she published gives us an important clue. In it, Kebeng can be seen at an airport, showing off black sedans and SUVs with the caption, Mama Cat and her fleet. It also shows the plane she is about to board. News 24 identified the airfield as Wonderboom Airport in Pretoria by what is termed the Skinny Tower by pilots, this small air traffic control tower. Critical in this footage is a 2015 BMW 7 Series G11 730D and its license plate, JV09RTGP. Considering its interior features, like the lights above the driver, the armrest and gear knob, this vehicle is likely the same 7 Series BMW fitted with dash lights in the other video by Kebeng. An official Ekurhuleni Metro Police memo obtained by News 24 reveals that a security firm called Cat VIP Protection has a working relationship with the law enforcement body.
So that fresh reminder is to make you remember that the blue lights that were fitted in Vusumuzi Matlala's vehicle, even though Vusumuzi Matlala has vehemently denied that his vehicles were fitted with blue lights and has said that, in a way, he was throwing the ex-wife under the bus, which is Cordelia.
What is the story there? You installed the blue lights he installed the blue lights in the cars that are owned by a security company.
I donated cars to his to EMPD to him.
So they took them over.
Yes.
They were not belonging to you.
No.
But there was a News 24 article that showed a lady saying Mama Cat is taking his kids to school in style, and they were playing with blue lights like they are playing with yo-yo.
Yes, I'm divorced with my first wife, so I was not in relationship with my first wife. And Mama Cat is the media saying that. It's not her saying Mama Cat. So she's living her life, and then I don't even, and those are not my cars. So my cars are BMWs. I think everybody knows I use BMWs. So
she's got cars also with blue lights, without your involvement.
She don't have cars. Maybe she sourced a security company, or what she did, I don't know. Because me and her, we don't have that relationship anymore. We divorced.
And said that Cordelia, it's her things. He doesn't know anything about the blue lights that were fitted in his vehicle. Even though we know that there was a DA official that was escorted by the vehicles of Vusumuzi Matlala, if you guys remember. Escorted by the vehicles of Vusumuzi Matlala, and those cars, it was said that it had blue lights. But Vusumuzi Matlala did not confirm that when he appeared at the ad hoc committee. He said that he's not sure because he was not there in that particular place, so he's not sure if the cars were actually fitted with blue lights or not when they were actually accompanying the DA official or councillor.
What is your relationship with Julius Mkhwanazi?
Julius Mkhwanazi, I will say, he was a friend.
Oh, so you donated because you had a friend who was in the position of authority?
No, it's because I proposed to him when he was an operations manager that, listen, I want to donate the cars, but with conditions that we do brand awareness, and then I will also send proposal to do the medical response for the EMPD when the officers they get injured in the line of duty.
So Tanya was protected by you?
No, not by me. I went there when it was only once. It was when it was state of the city address. It was only once.
Yeah, but you went to fetch the mayor of the DA with your cars.
Yes.
And they had blue lights.
I don't know if they put blue lights on because I was not there.
That's the thing. There's evidence, there's pictures, there's videos that shows that blue lights were actually fitted in some vehicles that are connected to Vusumuzi Matlala, even though he denies that. And the person that had the close proximity at Ekurhuleni to Vusumuzi Matlala was Julius Mkhwanazi. Julius Mkhwanazi has also vehemently denied and said that he never fitted the blue lights. He denied that before he appeared at the Madlanga Commission, and even denied that, and also denied during the appearance at the Madlanga Commission.
That were fitted by the city. I didn't fit any blue light. The city didn't fit any blue light.
IPID and the municipalities lying.
No, the municipality didn't lie. The letter of municipality is very clear that the city didn't put any blue lights. You see, I was part of those processes. I didn't put blue. The city didn't put blue lights. You see, I can assure you, you can go to our fleet, you can go to any document, and this is a public institution. Anything that you do, any procurement that you touch, those funds belong to public. That documentation that must prove that. We said, come on, go and check the processes and the procedures of the city. Go to procurement and check. Go to fleet and check. There are no blue lights that they were put in the police. That story comes from within individuals that wanted to destroy somebody's name.
However, this whole thing was already in an advanced stage. By the time Mkhwanazi was asked and all of that, Madlanga Commission, already Jeff Wicks was investigating everything and was asking questions at the city of Ekurhuleni or the EMPD. And there were no answers. They were blue-ticking him and complained to the IPID. The IPID then saw it fit for them to actually write a report where they are recommending that disciplinary actions be taken against Julius Mkhwanazi. They made a series of recommendations. This is a letter. This is the copy of the recommendations that were made by the IPID, and it was, I think, released by the ENCA.
Expected to appear before the Boksburg Magistrates Court this morning, and they're facing possible charges of defeating the ends of justice and fraud as well. There are other matters we understand are currently being investigated. This in relation to blue lights that were fitted into the vehicles of Vusi Musi Matlala. That memoranda which Mkhwanazi got into was one of the reasons why IPID had recommended that he be disciplined, but nothing happened. In fact, when Mashazi came to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, she admitted that it was unlawful to act on that memorandum. When ENCA spoke to Mike van Veek exclusively, he also confessed to say that he did work for the city of Ekurhuleni, and there was sort of an agreement he had with Julius Mkhwanazi. So that's the information we have currently now from our sources, Maseho.
And what the Ekurhuleni did, which was Kemi Behari, Imogen Mashazi, and Gxasheka, they failed to act on that particular IPID report. So what happened is that when the IPID report reached the Ekurhuleni municipality through Mapiyeye, nothing was done. They're supposed to put Mkhwanazi on suspension and disciplinary proceedings. They suspended him, but according to Kemi Behari, there was no enough evidence to actually continue with the suspension or extend the suspension.
You are the head of legal within Ekurhuleni. You know if the power to resuspend is there in the prescripts. The reason Erasmus came to you in the first place was he was aware of the impending period, and he was asking you for support. You are now aware that the period has come and gone, and the effect of that is that Mkhwanazi is back at work. You know that.
Yes.
And you're now engaging with the two of them, Mapiyeye and Erasmus, on the seriousness, and we'll still come back to that later on, the seriousness of the allegations. But as head of legal, at no point do you advise the city manager or Mapiyeye or Erasmus that there is a power to resuspend. These are serious allegations. Erasmus probably needs time to plug all these gaps. I find that astonishing.
Chair, if I may, when I raised those issues with both Mapiyeye and Erasmus, I had nothing further after my last meeting with Chief of Police. Now, if he had come back and we've plugged the gaps, but there was no response due to the nature of issues I've raised with the Chief of Police. There was no further comeback to me. And if let's say we've addressed the issues that you raised in our meeting, can we now go on? And I would have said, yes, certainly, let's go to a resuspension. That is how we've done resuspension, to say, this is what the initial circumstances were. We've addressed that, and now we can go on. But
hence, it had to be uplifted for Julius Mkhwanazi to actually go back to work, which was very problematic. It's a problem that Mapiyeye raised. And it's unfortunate that it led to him actually losing his job and actually going back to work or being suspended and staying at home, because he kept on probing, asking questions regarding this issue of Mkhwanazi and the fact that Kemi Behari, as the head of legals at the EMPD, said that the report was vague and did not really have enough for them to prosecute Julius Mkhwanazi.
On the 15th of June 2023, HOD Human Resource Linda Gxasheka challenged my decision by deploying Brigadier Mkhwanazi, and she directed that he be deployed back to his substantive position. A letter of this is attached and marked J30. I responded to this letter on the 20th of June 2023, advising Ms. Gxasheka that I, as the Chief of Police, had the power in terms of Section 64C of the SAPS Act to transfer members of the service in the EMPD, and a copy of this letter is attached, marked JM31.
Yes.
Paragraph 101, 102, on the 21st of June 2023, and the following discussion initiated by Ms. Gxasheka and Advocate HOD Behari, HOD Legal Services, I was pressurized to hand over the docket relating to Brigadier Mkhwanazi to Advocate Behari, who is the head of Legal Cooperative.
Imogen Mashazi, on the other hand, she says that she left everything to Kemi Behari. Literally, she said the powers were with Kemi Behari. There was nothing she could have done because that was a legal document.
In terms of the IPID report was presented. Number one, it was sent to Chief of Police to action because Julius, by then, he was a director. So I did something because the allegations contained in the IPID report were very gross. I acted by referring the report to Corporate and Legal and Chief of Police because Chief of Police is mandated in terms of the SAPS Act to actually discipline members. And Julius being one of his subordinates, he was supposed to do that. Even when you look at the IPID report, I don't know, I have somewhere where they write to him to implement or to discipline Julius. So from my point, I did something as an accounting officer by referring it because it's a legal document. I referred the document to HOD Legal, who later informed me that the document is incomplete and he has advised chief or whatever that they cannot take action on this document, rather let them do the internal investigation.
And Kemi Behari, she followed what Kemi Behari suggested and what Kemi Behari said. But Kemi Behari is coming with a very complex explanation that is involving many people to say there was no enough evidence to actually prosecute Julius Mkhwanazi.
Are you suggesting, as head of legal, that because Steyn says I've done this before, nobody can be disciplined for it, even if it is against municipal policies and against the law? Surely that's not the suggestion you're making.
No, Chair, that's not my suggestion. What I'm saying is, in looking at the matter holistically, you are looking at disciplining Mkhwanazi for the issue of the blue lights.
Registering vehicles in the name of EMPD.
Vehicles, yeah.
Yes.
So the only witness there, Steyn, says it had been done before. But Steyn is the one who guided Mkhwanazi, according to his statement, to say, we accept this on a letter. Give me a letter from the donor. And on that basis, that donation happened.
On the other hand, Linda Gxasheka, when she appeared at the Madlanga Commission, she denied everything and said that she had no role to play there. They were putting her and inserting her in things that she's not even concerned with.
Chief says he had an engagement with HOD, HR, and legal. I refute her on. I requested that let's have a forensic investigation done into this whole mess. Chair says the discussion took place, according to Chief, the discussion took place between Dr. Mashazi and Advocate Kim. I'm not going to exonerate myself in this mess. Hence, I continuously, the latest before my suspension last year, and said, let's get to the bottom of this. But if somebody is listening carefully, there has been continuously discussions that are taking place outside myself. Let alone that when I engage the city manager, sometimes I find that legally she's been well briefed. But we'll have our discussions and debates on the issues. It's a very confusing situation between these two statements, but I'm reiterating, I don't think I would have agreed to this.
And she says she was even pointed out to the fact that Mapia's version and Xolani version were actually conflicting each other. And it doesn't seem like these people actually are telling the truth with what is actually going on with the upliftment of the disciplinary proceedings against Julius Mkhwanazi in relation to the blue lights and the IPID report. And what they did is that with no sufficient evidence that they said they was presented by the IPID, they decided that there's nothing unlawful that Julius Mkhwanazi did. There were no blue lights that were fitted, therefore Julius Mkhwanazi should go back to work. What is worse is that Julius Mkhwanazi got a promotion to apply for Deputy Chief of Police, and also Kemi Behari got a raise of his salary after all of this.
Provide any basis why such increases must be effected. These two people are appointed on the 1st of March 2023. They are still under probation. 4 months after their appointments, a report gets generated seeking to provide them with massive increases. And nothing has actually happened in the intervening period between March and July in terms of municipal processes. What is in that report speaks exactly to what they had in March, but in July, that is used to say these people must get these massive increases. I can only suggest or opine, but thank you.
And it looked like they were, simple cover up for Julius Mkhwanazi, right? I definitely think that it looks like that. What makes the matters worse is that the docket was there, but the charge sheet was not in the docket. And after all of these things that happened, Kemi Behari was at the forefront telling people like Mapieye that give me the docket. He took the docket, and we don't know what actually happened because it seems like it was there in his office collecting dust, ensuring that Julius Mkhwanazi does not get prosecuted. Julius Mkhwanazi was insubordinate to even people like Mapieye because he knew that he had all the protection that he needed from people like Gxasheka, Kemi Behari, and Imogen Mashazi, who were all in cahoots to protect Julius Mkhwanazi.
The next event is upon the upliftment of the brigadier's suspension and his resumption of duty in May of 2023. Chief Mapieye made an attempt to move him out of his ordinary station. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that attempt to keep him out of his ordinary station in order to protect the integrity of the investigation was also blocked through intervention.
Yes.
The intervention of who?
Well, the letter came from Gxasheka, but I believe that it was an instruction by Mashazi.
Thank you. And you've now testified that in June of 2023, an attempt was made to serve the charge sheet upon the then Brigadier Mkhwanazi, and that the service of that charge sheet was blocked. Is that correct?
Yes.
And please remind the Commission at whose intervention that blockage was alleged to have occurred.
Mashazi and Gxasheka. Quite honest, my sense is that it's Mashazi instruction to Gxasheka.
And now with the arrest of Julius Mkhwanazi, we remember the words that he sang. He said, "Umama lo ongizalayo," and he will take the bullet for her. We are wondering if he's still willing to take the bullets, because now he's in the dock, leaving his family, his children, everybody, taking the bullet for her. I hope he realizes that sometimes the things we say, we actually manifest them. Because I think that this one deserves to stay in jail for the longest of times. There's a lot of allegations against Julius Mkhwanazi. And we must also understand that this operation looks like it is more leaning towards the PKTT and the Madlanga Commission task team. It doesn't look like it's the IPID investigation. But the IPID, remember, it's also investigating, and it has its own arrest that they're going to give effect to in regards to Julius Mkhwanazi, because we know all these allegations that are facing Julius Mkhwanazi. There's just a lot of allegations. They are piling up every now and again.
We will die for you. We will take a bullet for you.
It doesn't look like Julius Mkhwanazi is going to survive this. So the charge here, I assume, because I'm recording this around 11 o'clock, so I'm assuming the charge is defeating the ends of justice. And if you look at the IPID's Act 33, Section 33, Section 33, subsection 3, it says that when the IPID recommends something, especially to law enforcers like Gxasheka, like Kemi Behari, they're supposed to give effect to that IPID report. They're supposed to implement it. Failure, it results in imprisonment or a fine. And with this now, we see the issue of imprisonment and the fact that this guy might be imprisoned because of his recklessness when he came to this particular case. He failed. Dismally, they literally failed. So here, what is going on is that defeating the ends of justice, and high chances it might also be fraud. But we'll see as the proceedings go by what are going to be the other additional charges. But it looks like defeating the ends of justice is definitely going to be featured because they failed to implement the IPID report and overlooked it and acted like it was not there because it was vague, according to Kemi Behari, Imogen Mashazi, Gxasheka, and everybody else that is actually involved here.
Tulani Magagula, of course, one of the lead investigators in that IPID investigation, who, of course, has been commended for the stellar work in terms of the arrests we're seeing right now. But here's where it gets quite interesting. On Friday, we know that there was a imminent arrest that was going to take place this coming Friday for the Precious Stones case. And that individual who was going to be nabbed was Julius Mkhwanazi, who's currently suspended. He's also facing a different charge in relation to being linked to Kagiso Lerutla, the city manager here in Ekurhuleni.
The confirmation that has been communicated through the charge sheet that has come out to the public is that these individuals have been charged with fraud and corruption. And that is in relation to the salary increments of Julius Mkhwanazi, the promotion of Julius Mkhwanazi, Gxasheka, and Kemi Behari. All of those things became possible because there were people that were actually shielding Mkhwanazi from what we even heard from Mnangagwa. They were given these monies because they were literally shielding Mkhwanazi and they gave him the protection that he needed because everything followed subsequently. After the IPID report fell away, Mkhwanazi was not charged, all allegations against him fell away, he went back to work and he was protected by those people. They were hiding dockets and they never implemented any recommendations by the IPID. They just overlooked a lot of things. So that is where it looks like the crux of this case are. As I've said, in terms of the IPID Act, if you don't comply with the IPID, it's either imprisonment or they will give you a fine. So chances of a bail are very high. But for Julius Mkhwanazi, it looks like he might be going to jail again because it looks like the state wants to confirm the address of Imogen Mashazi and Gxasheka because it was hard to find Imogen Mashazi. Hence, she was asked to hand herself over. So these two have to confirm their addresses. I don't know how many properties do they have in order for the state to be comfortable for them to be given the bail or to be hearing their bail application. Whereas the other two, they're ready, the bail application is ready. I don't know if the judgment will come out today. I doubt that, but I wouldn't be shocked if they actually do get the bail because the state is not really opposing. But Tulani Magagula is playing some dirty game because more charges are coming and Mkhwanazi is still going to be arrested. As Puleng said, he's going to be arrested again on Friday for the Precious Stones. So if I was him, I would just brace myself and be like, bring all the charges, let me just apply once and for all. So let us see how this particular case unfolds. Let me hear what you think. Then before I can close off this case of Julius Mkhwanazi, I wanted us to talk about some of the things that people have alerted to. It's all over social media, Twitter, people on Twitter tweeting about it, Facebook, everywhere. And they're connecting Andrea Johnson with Imogen Mashazi. You guys remember that when Andrea Johnson wanted to arrest Madondo and Khumalo, she said that we found out from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi that there were IDEC people that were supposed to be arrested by the PKTT. So the IDEC now wanted to act very quickly within those 48 hours or whatever the case may be before they actually can give effect to the IDEC officials. I think that might have been wrong information that was shared with the IDEC.
Yeah, no, we wanted to wait and see what's happening because the intelligence says there was a panic within IDEC that there are warrant of arrest that have been secured against the leadership of IDEC, which is not true. I first heard about this thing earlier in the week. A friend of mine from Durban called me and I said, but there's nothing like that. I did not take it serious. But it looks like the information that we get yesterday confirms that you guys have got a warrant of arrest for IDEC officials. And we said, but that's not true. We don't issue warrant of arrest. We work with prosecutors and lawyers if there's anything. But there's nothing. There's nothing that we are investigating that involves them.
What do you think this is in relation to, General?
I still don't know. Because that's why I didn't take it serious yesterday when this information about warrant of arrest, I thought, well, maybe is this just a story. But when Commander said he received a call from IDEC today and I asked him, what are these charges for now? He said, no, he's supposed to come here. So I decided to come here so that I can meet up with Khumalo and get to see for myself the numbers that called him.
I think actually the PKTT was about to arrest people like Kemi Behari. We know that the IDEC leader, Andrea Johnson, is very close with a lot of Indian officials, including Kemi Behari, that he even used Kemi Behari as a reference to apply for the director of National Director of Public Prosecution. And there is a relationship there that cannot be denied, that these people are close. You cannot use someone as a reference if you don't have a relationship with them. So people are thinking now that that is the reason why they wanted to arrest Khumalo, because they didn't want Khumalo to give effect to the arrest of Kemi Behari. Because we know that Andrea Johnson has been protecting the Indian cabal that has been implicated at the Madlanga Commission by these different stakeholders like Khan, Kemi Behari, you name them, you know them, guys. All these people that it looks like Andrea Johnson is protecting, and they're all Indian, like Kareem's, all of them. So there is that theory that has came forward. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think it's connected, and that they got the wrong intel, and actually the PKTT was arrested, but to arrest her people, not really her or IDEC people, but people that are close to her, because it is said that she's even close to Fadiel Adams. Guys, it's a lot that is going on. It's complex. Relationship, Andrea Johnson with different people. It's really complex, and I think it deserves its own episode where we connect everybody to Andrea Johnson, because I think there's still a lot that is going to unfold because of what is going on with Andrea Johnson and the people that she's close with that are on the wrong side of the law. That's the crazy part. They're on the wrong side of the law, negatively implicated at the Madlanga Commission.
I met her in a detective conference nationally, and Khan introduced her. Let me bring that straight for you. And we're talking about 2016 now. Khan introduced her to us detectives. And we were wondering, who is this person and what are they doing? And even if they were from the NPA at the time, it was highly irregular for them to be at such a sensitive national accounting conference where we explain our performance. So yes, he needs to explain that association, because it certainly isn't one that innocently emerges at the time in the courses of normal bureaucratic relations between the NPA and ourselves. She was not that big at the time for such a meeting to be exposed to us in that particular way.
And so do you think that the arresting of Khumalo is Andrea Johnson doing Khan's bidding?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, she certainly needs to explain.
Talking about Khan and the people that are on the wrong side of the law, Julius Malema, new allegations, fresh allegations, shocked, I'm not gonna lie, have emerged. So Julius Malema, you guys remember that there's been testimonies at the Madlanga Commission regarding his relationship with General Khan and Mosaid. And the chats were revealed at the Madlanga Commission. We saw how Julius Malema was in a qui pro quo relationship with Khan and Mosaid. And the relationship was rather, you do this for me, I'll do this for you, I'll do this for you. And the way evidence leader Cheskasen even described it, he said it was kind of, do illegal stuff for me, I'll do illegal stuff for you. From the issues of the VBS and the case numbers that are involving the curator in the VBS, to the issues of the Operation Tutula, the issues of the questions that have to be asked to parliamentarians so that they can trap Dintwe. All of that happened, but that's the thing, guys. You remember that that Bertobrite tender. We were told that Julius Malema, there was monies that he received regarding that particular tender. And the person that got this tender, the Bertobrite tender, later on, there was articles about how this person was giving funds to the EFF. It looks like even the tender, this person did not even receive it regularly. There was a lot of irregularities from how the evidence has been presented and the articles that Advocate Cheskasen was talking about. Let me just refresh your memories on what Advocate Cheskasen said about this particular tender.
Which relates to a tender for fleet management services submitted by a company called Bertobrite, Bertobrite, to the State Information Technology Agency, SITA. And underneath that, he says, Juju sent me. General Khan says what he needs here, what does he need? And Mr. Sayed says, I think he wants us to do it. In other words, we infer, I think he wants us to do this tender for him. So we have
where is the for him part, Mr. Chaskelsson? I mean, I think he wants us to do it. I get that part.
For Bertobrite, because it's Bertobrite's tender. It's not a tender that's put in by a company of Mr. Sayed or Mr. Or General Khan. It's for Bertobrite. And of course, the question is, what is the relationship between Bertobrite and Mr. Malema?
That part I get. The part I don't get is for you to say he wants us to do it for him. That's
for Bertobrite. The issue in relation to Bertobrite is that by this stage, August 2021, Bertobrite has already appeared in the press in relation to an allegedly corrupt tender that it procured in Tshwane on the basis of paying amounts to the EFF. I'll find my reference. I don't have it to hand here, but it is in the exhibit bundle.
It gets worse because there's an author that actually investigated this tender specifically against Julius Malema. And if I tell you from the Secretary General of the EFF, which is Marshal Dlamini, Floyd Shivambu, Julius Malema, it's insane. It's out of this world. The connection, it's crazy. And this is what this journalist said. Listen, guys, I want you to bear with me because this is some kind of like a long explanation that he's going to provide. But I'm telling you, it's worth the watch. Let's get to it.
Micah Reddy is the co-author of the book Malema, Money, Power and Patronage. And he, as I said, joins us on Zoom via France. Micah, a very good evening to you. Congratulations on a great book released towards the end of last year. You and Paulie van Wyk followed the money. Can you tell us where it led?
In the case of, well, it came from a lot of different people, and a lot of it led through bank accounts belonging to companies fronted by Malema's allies. So this money was paid by contractors and those seeking Malema's influence. It was paid by them to front companies that were operated by his allies, his relatives, usually his cousins, and used for his benefit. It was a very similar thing with Floyd Shivambu and less well-known Marshal Dlamini as well, very senior EFF leader, although his role in a lot of this this corruption is less well known. In the case of Bertobrite, which everyone's talking about now, this is a contractor owned by a man called Henry Kganyago. He's a fairly enigmatic character. I never really got to figure out much about him personally. I've never seen a photo of the guy. He never spoke to us. But he was, so he owns various companies. One of them is Bertobrite that's being talked about at the Madlanga Commission. Back in 2019, we wrote about another of Kganyago's companies involved in a massive R500 million Tshwane fuel tender. It was a completely crooked tender. What Kganyago did through his company BBT, which bid for the tender, was to basically have it rigged. So the books, the whole sort of calculus of it, the whole process was rigged to favor his company. I don't want to go into too much detail because it all gets a little bit finicky, but basically he was able, because he had inside information, he was able to lowball on certain fuel categories so that he looked like he was a very cheap bidder, but he knew that the city never used those fuel categories, and he overquoted. He provided vastly inflated figures on the categories that he knew the city actually used. So that's just to give you an example of how he managed to swing this in his favor. The person who was helping him on the inside was his very own brother, who was overseeing this tender. And he ended up winning the tender, but they needed political cover, and that's where Malema came in. And, well, Malema and Marshal Dlamini. And over the course of the months of this tender process, Kganyago paid Malema and Dlamini 15 million rand via their front companies. So via three front companies, two ultimately belonging to or used for the benefit of Malema and the EFF, and one used for Marshal Dlamini's benefit. And they needed political cover to get this through. They needed the city manager at the time. They needed his consent, and he was under a lot of pressure, facing motion of no confidence. And Malema was able to flex his political muscles, put a lot of pressure on the government, the city administration, by virtue of being basically kingmakers in the metro. And the tender went through. The city was quite willingly robbed, and ended up paying way more than it should have for this cricket tender.
I mean, as the book outlines, this has been going on, or this type of activity has allegedly been going on for years. One of the thrusts of the book is that Malema has gotten so good at this that legal action against him is almost nigh impossible. How so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that he's gotten so good at it. He's gotten very brazen because he hasn't been held to account, and because, crucially, the major on-point case of more than a decade ago now, I think, I mean, that dragged on for ages, but the actual corruption, the fraud and corruption was over a decade ago, and he got off on that, and it was very much, it had a lot. Ultimately, what it boiled down to was state incompetence, and the whole thing sort of fell apart on a technicality. And we know that our criminal justice system, our police, and the Hawks are completely unable to prosecute complex, to investigate complex financial crime, and our prosecutorial authorities have been hamstrung. And haven't been able to hold people like Malema to account. It's not that these are, genius schemes. In fact, they're often quite crude. We're not talking about, trusts and shell companies in the Cayman Islands. It's as crude as Malema is using his cousins to front for him. He's getting kickbacks from people who want to do business with the state, so from tenderpreneurs. And he's getting money for influence peddling, to use his influence as we've seen revealed by the Madlanga Commission, to use his influence as a political figure, as a prominent political figure, his influence in parliament and so on. It's influence peddling is what it is. And it's not, we were able to follow the money. It's all laid out in the book. We have the receipts, we have the bank transactions. We very often have transactions on both sides. So we have the bank records of people sending the money, and we have the recipient records showing how the money is spent to fuel Malema's political ambitions and his lavish lifestyle. The fact that he has not been held to account is not because he is a genius.
I get the point. Radical leaders, stealing from the very people they claim to fight for is not a new theme around the world by any means. But you do say that it represents a very real threat to our democratic project.
I think so. I look at what the Madlanga Commission has revealed. Look at in whose interests Malema is acting in Parliament as a public representative. I think that says it all. He claims to be for the people. He claims to be a revolutionary for the poor and the working class, and yet he is clearly singing to the tune of some rather nefarious interests.
Guys, it's insane. I feel like at this moment, Julius Malema has to appear before the Madlanga Commission. And I know that he has a very bold character. You guys remember with the Kiss Analove the Boer, the farmer case. He's a very confident person.
You also want me to interpret the language you hear?
Yes.
Kiss the Boer, kiss the farmer. I thought it's English.
It is.
Yes.
And what does that mean?
It means kiss.
Kiss how?
And I think he's going to go there at the Madlanga Commission, ooze confidence if he gets invited. But I think at this moment, it does not really look good, especially considering this investigation that has been conducted by these journalists. I know that other people have already said he's going to blame white monopoly capital, because we know the EFF has been defending Julius Malema ever since this whole thing has started. They've said, hands off CRC, there's an agenda against Cheskalson. I'm not going to lie, I was watching the episode of Mighty Jamie. I agree with Mighty Jamie. Guys, he's just leading evidence. There's nothing unfair about that. Unfortunately, Julius Malema is implicated, and he has to appear before the Madlanga Commission and answer like everybody that got implicated, guys, unfortunately. So the EFF, you can defend him, but it does not look good for the CIC, guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. It does not look good. He's going to be afforded the chance for him to say the side of the story at the Madlanga Commission. Let us hear what he has to say. And I think he has to appear. Even though people are saying he's going to blame white monopoly capital, the attack against him, the election year. But that's the thing. Leaders, they do things. And unfortunately, the election year is happening when the Madlanga Commission is happening. You cannot blame the fact that there's a campaign, a decampaigning against you. Tescassen is just doing his job. This just reminded me of what is even going on with Jacob Zuma. You remember Jacob Zuma? He also went unprovoked, visited the Guptas. Hey guys, came and said, you know, his friends, they're treating the friends well in the country. It just made me see how these political parties are literally decampaigning themselves at a very fragile time in politics, the time of local elections. And we'll just see what happens, but it just does not look good for the EFF and the MKP. And yeah, Khan, Malema, guys, it just does not look good at all.
Very happy that I visited this great country at the right time. I was coming to a brother and friend of mine that was in South Africa for a long time because of some people in South Africa who were not happy with what they were doing in the country, that I was working with him as well. They decided to say he must leave the country.
Obviously, Floyd Shivambu has spoken about this a long time ago regarding the EFF tenders. He has, you know, his tell-alls when he left the EFF and Mkhwanazi party, starting his own political party. He did speak about tenders, even though he was not specific, but he did speak about this issue of the tenders and how the EFF is moving away from its policies with regards to the tenders.
I constantly do. So I agree to be led, like, even when I realize that some of the things are not correct. Then the EFF, of course, participated in 2014 elections, got 25 seats in parliament. 2019 got 44 seats in parliament. And then, but it had never participated in government, even after having received 757 councillors and with a lot of hung municipalities in 2016. And in 2021 got 1,119 councillors. And then still didn't participate in government. But then when the EFF began to participate in government, its mannerisms and conduct was not different from the ANC. And that had approval of some of the leadership.
What kind of mannerisms and conduct are you referring to?
Wrongdoing, and I don't want to talk in detail about that. There was just a lot of wrongdoing, which we called against, and and there was also beginning to be retreat from the original perspective, because in the EFF founding manifesto, there's a cardinal pillar called building state capacity with the aim of abolishing tenders. But there was just now an acceptance that tenders must continue. And then in the process of tenders continuing, you realize that some of the people are submitting their companies to benefit out of and that is what I was uncomfortable with. That
we also know that during the testimonies of Fani Molefe, R15M, Dlamini, we found out that the EFF suggested 7 names of companies that have to benefit from a certain tender or that have to be prioritized for those ad hoc services tenders.
Now, did Mr. Malema ever give you a list of companies in relation to this tender?
No.
It just doesn't look good that the EFF is entangled with tenders, especially that are happening in the city of Tshwane. And we know that, guys, where there's smoke, there's fire. Are you telling me that all these allegations are false against the CIC? I don't know, guys. I'm not the one to judge. Let me hear what you think in the comment section down below. Obviously, other people have used this whole thing of Julius Malema as a political campaign. We know that Ian Cameroon has came forward as well and has said that, you know, Julius Malema is the one that didn't want Khan to come and appear before the ad hoc committee.
I don't think Mbeki, Halema, Ratebe, Balula, Cameroon, Khan are going to help us with anything. You're going to leave a day or two to come and ask Khan, you know, they say you are a part of a faction. Are you part of a faction? He says, I don't know anything about any faction. And then what are you going to produce to prove that Khan is part of any faction? Except that he's being suspected and all of that. And then we are told when Khumalo comes, he will come with something concrete. Meaning, Mkhwanazi himself agrees that he's got nothing concrete on Khan. He says, no, someone else is going to come. Where we are seated now, with nothing on Khan, except that he went to do a good job. He got exonerated when he went to the DC, and then he continued with his job.
And presented the evidence of what Julius Malema said. Obviously, some members of the parliament came forward and said Ian Cameroon also agreed, of which Ian Cameroon once had an exclusive with ENCA and said that the members of parliament voted for Julius Malema, voted for Khan to not appear, and did not really specify who are those members of parliament. But also another clip of Kuselo Sangoni came forward that she also agreed that Khan should not appear. And I think I did make an episode about the fact that Parliament looks like they're defending Julius Malema to say that no one forced them to not have Khan appear. They all decided that Khan should not appear.
Khan and Major General Mudli. This issue of Major General Khan and Major General Mudli, I think like the EFF, we hold no brief for Major General Khan, but we don't think that it's necessary that they be brought to Parliament, Chair.
So it's just taking a different angle, this whole thing of Julius Malema, and it's getting deeper by day. But only when he appears before the Madlanga Commission will be able to find answers that some of us are actually looking for regarding the questions of whether Julius Malema is corrupt and how deep does the corruption go. Obviously, Julius Malema did reply to these allegations that have been made at the Madlanga Commission against him, especially in regards to the chats that he had with Khan, Mosaid, everybody. And I'm not going to delve on the entire reply. What I'm going to focus on is in relations to this Bertobrite tender. And he replied in one line specifically and said that, he's not really involved the way we think he is, or from what has been alleged from the testimony that has came out at the Madlanga Commission.
It is my concern, and indeed my interest, to receive information about the working of our public service officials who I have the task of holding to account. Nothing is or could be implicating, if nothing more than receiving assistance of how to hold a public official accountable is proffered. Be that as it may, I do not have knowledge of the exchanges between Mr. Sayed and General Khan. I deny any inference to the contents of these paragraphs to the extent that they infer any unlawful conduct on my part. To the best of my knowledge, I deny any Bertobrite bribery of the EFF. That is Mr. Malema's affidavit.
Nonetheless, guys, let me move to the last three topics, which is the Treasurer General. So we know that the Treasurer General currently is investigating Fani Molefe. So Fani Molefe was the mediator, ensuring that specifications are changed, giving certain information, classified information to Khan, Mosaid, and Ismail Vali for them to score different tenders. From the automotive parts tender to the PPE tenders, he was literally at the forefront of it, and he was using his power at the Treasurer General to ensure that things are happening for these people. They're actually getting the tenders.
Observations. The first question I have is, was Mr. Fani part of the various committees that evaluate and adjudicate this specific tender? I'm sure we are able to get that information. The second observation is, on its face, it appears to be improper that while a bid is being evaluated and you are one of the bidders, you are having meetings with a senior supply chain person in the very department. And
yes, so on your question, Commissioner Khumalo, even assuming it was not in relation to the tender, the meeting, it would nevertheless be improper.
Yeah, because you don't know what influence he has. Does he appoint, for example, the people who sit in various committees? What exactly is his role? And those are some of the questions that may have to be answered for us. Because how else do you explain the various requests for meetings with him?
So the Treasurer General saw it fit for them to actually not sit down and watch, and be like, okay, they've decided that it would be best for them to actually do something about this whole situation and actually investigate it. Because Fani Molefe has been at the forefront. We don't know to what extent did he use the resources of Treasurer General. It just doesn't make the office to look good at all. So that is why they're currently investigating Fani Molefe. It just doesn't look good, guys, for Fani Molefe at all. And it looks like more people might be exposed to Treasurer General, because if Fani Molefe is going down, I don't think he was working alone or doing this whole thing alone. I just think that there's other people that he was doing this whole thing with. As even Advocate Hasim said, that there's other people that might have been helping Mosaid Khan and Ismail Vali that they did not know at the Treasurer General, but it doesn't look like it was only Fani Molefe that was assisting. And looks like a lot of people are about to lose their jobs and they're about to actually be, suspended.
This tender relates to SAPS vehicles, but was done through the National Treasury. Do you remember why that is the case? Why it was not done directly with SAPS?
Because it's a transversal contract. It's centralized in National Treasury, and it's for procurement for SAPS, but across provinces. And I think that's why it's done by National Treasury and not the SAPS. Commissioner Khumalo, there are two problems here. One is with the contact with somebody in Treasury as they're going along. And the second is that General Khan is a senior officer himself in the department that's meant to be serviced through this tender.
Whatever that will happen. And now we're going to move to the acting National Police Commissioner, which is Dimpane. So Dimpane has been reported, unfortunately. So the Public Interest South Africa argues that as SAPS chief financial officer at the time, Dimpane had statutory responsibility for financial management and internal control and risk oversight. The organization alleges that there are reasonable grounds to investigate whether she failed to fulfill these obligations or duties despite being aware of concerns and an ongoing internal audit. The complainant relies on Dimpane's sworn statement before the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee and requested that Hawks to investigate potential risk, breach of several sections of the PFMA, obtain financial records and audit reports and system authorizations logs, and determine whether criminal offences were committed. Public Interest SA stressed that lodging the complaint is not finding of guilt, but a request for an independent investigation. So that is just the crux of it. This is in relation to that Medicare 24 tender. So I don't know what will happen, but it looks like Dimpane as well might also be removed. I don't know who will take the position now. If Dimpane is removed, will they go? It literally looks like everybody has a dark cloud. It's bad.
An amount of 466 million that we had disclosed as irregular expenditure that was confirmed for 24-25 financial year. Within that 466 million, this contract constituted 48 million. These were all the payments that were made from August, if I am correct, since the inception of this contract. So all of them, as per the recommendation of the determination test to say this contract was awarded irregularly, therefore any expenditure that would have been incurred since the inception of this contract is then deemed irregular. So those figures amounted to about 48 million. There are a few invoices that remains on the system. I then instructed my team to stop those particular payments so that then we do not perpetuate the incurrence of irregular expenditure. So
it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what you guys think. We're about to not have we're about to not have a national commissioner. Hey guys, which makes me think, guys, with all these suspensions, who is paying for these people? Even now with the Imogen Mashazis, Mkhwanazis, they are busy attending courts and Ekurhuleni just suspended them. These people are still getting paid. Meaning the city is helping them to win these cases or for them to have legal representation. Why are they not firing these people? Yeah, guys, taxpayers' monies are really, really being... they are really playing with taxpayers' monies. Instead of using the money for serious things that will change our country, we are busy paying for criminals here and people that have been suspended where there's serious allegations against them, but they're just sitting at home receiving their 60,000 rands every month, sitting at home and using that very money to hire lawyers and win these cases. Fire them. fire them. They'll use Ket Matlala's money, that the one that they've been getting from Matlala all along, to check themselves out. Obviously, according to Puleng Dimpane, she's really emphasizing the fact that she was not part of the bid adjudicating committee or any committee that allowed for this tender to actually be awarded. She says that the person that was at the forefront of this was Fani Molefe, and she was on leave during the time. And she also emphasized the fact that when she came back, she's part of the people that were actually asking for this matter to be investigated. And when everything was flagged, the irregularities were picked up, she did what was necessary on her part to ensure that this matter is thoroughly investigated.
Perhaps before I start, just to confirm with the committee that I did not form part of any structure, be it the BSC or bid specification committee, bid evaluation committee or bid adjudication committee. I was not part of such structures when this contract was awarded. This was awarded by the BAC, that is chaired by Lieutenant General Fani, and an SLA was signed by Lieutenant General Khua, who is the end user and who had requested these services to be procured on their behalf by supply chain management. I'm on leave in December. I've never formed part of any meeting that was called by the minister when the articles came out. I was not in office. I was on leave. When I came back from leave in January 2025, I get to be briefed by the internal auditors that were obviously appointed by the National Commissioner, having been tasked by the minister in terms of the issues that were raised in the media.
But clearly, the wasteful expenditures happened, and we don't know if this case will actually succeed, but it is something that a lot of people were asking when Fani Masemola was actually charged and she was appointed, and it looks like the day is slowly but surely approaching for her to actually be removed and be charged PFMA.
Particular contract. So the IO goes on and investigates.
Just to clarify, when you say IO, is that investigating officer?
The one who is then doing or conducting a determination test for us. They go on, they complete the report, and somewhere in May, they bring back the report, and it is confirmed that this contract is irregular. What does that mean? It means it was awarded in contravention with various supply chain prescripts. It was awarded by the BAC. So it is confirmed. I then instruct supply chain management to say this transaction has to then move from possible irregular expenditure from the register to confirmed irregular expenditure. What then this means? It means the register that will come to me or to be submitted to me to put together note 24 on the financial statements.
Then I want to move to Brown Mogotsi. Brown Mogotsi, guys, there's CCTV footage that has been revealed and it has been sent to the defense for them to peruse around the video, but it looks like it's a video of Brown Mogotsi shooting him, shooting the vehicle himself, staging that assassination. And you could even see the face of Brown Mogotsi, that is yakala. He's trying to act strong, but it doesn't look good. If I was Brown Mogotsi, guys, I'll confess and just get a small sentence, guys, and move on with my life. Just serve that 8 years or whatever. But I think him going through the full trial process at sentencing, those mitigating factors are going to be used, and they'll say he had no remorse and he will stay in jail for a very long time. If indeed that CCTV footage exists, I think it would be best for him to actually just, go there and be like, okay, it happened, I'm sorry. And, I think I will just take, do what Matlala did, 5 years nyana, 8 years, whatever the case may be, depending on what the state is willing to do with regards to his case. But if indeed this CCTV footage exists, of which I definitely think it does, combining that with what our witnesses have said, that actually they saw him shooting at the vehicle. Brown Mogotsi, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time, because now we are going through trial. This is the perfect time for you to go through that mission or that plea statement. I don't know if it's 122 of the CPA or it's 121. Fix me there, law students and practicing lawyers. Fix me. I don't know if it's 122 or 121. He must just admit that he did what he did. And, let us move on. Let him get the plea deal if he has to, and let's get to it and move on. Then I want to conclude by talking about Mnangagwa. I know I've never done this, but this is a very interesting topic that I think we can talk about. Just a brief one. So Mnangagwa has amended the constitution of Zimbabwe to allow him to stay as the president of Zimbabwe until 2030. This person unilaterally amended the constitution. I don't know how the law works in Zimbabwe, but this has been met with mixed emotions on social media and debate. Because remember that Mnangagwa, guys, at first we never thought he's a dictator, but it looks like he's slowly but surely becoming a dictator. There's someone that was at News SAPS and said that he does not see anything wrong with what Mnangagwa is doing. Actually, when you look at countries like South Africa, where people are electing, there's elections and political parties, people are unalived. So to a certain degree, you need a dictator.
I came to your program here sometime and I told you this will pass without any problem at all, because it is too expensive to hold elections every 5 years. Two, I want to thank the people of Zimbabwe for listening to some of us. Presidential type of governance creates violence. Look at South Africa, very peaceful. When you elect, you go back home, sit, drink your tea, because the members of parliament will elect the president. But everywhere, look at your study across Africa. Everywhere where there is a presidential election, where there is presidency, first 2 votes and MP, there is always a dead body. I swear, God will bear me witness. Look at Mozambique, look at Tanzania, look at Kenya, look at Uganda, my country, look at Congo. Look everywhere where there is a presidential type of system, which is not like the South African model, there is bloodshed. So why do we want to have bloodshed all the time? This is a good move for the people of Zimbabwe. It's less expensive. There is no need of printing ballot papers for the president. When you are printed ballot papers for the MPs, even MPs are representative of people. So for me, the courts, I don't know which type of lawyer will convince the court.
While the people, on the other hand, are criticizing Zimbabweans, saying that Zimbabweans are busy harboring themselves here in South Africa and they're not going to fight for their country. Look at what is going on now. If it was another country, they would have protested, there would have been a riot challenging what the president has said, which is Mnangagwa. But we look as a classical example of Zimbabweans like quiet, nothing is happening in Zimbabwe. Literally, nothing is happening. Mnangagwa has just changed the law and allowed himself to stay longer in presidency. And we don't see any actions from the people on the ground. And even though others have defended and said Zimbabwe is different from South Africa. South Africa, we can have a Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, we can have a brief, and we support him, and actually the public shields him. But in Zimbabwe, when you say things, challenge the government, you're going to be unalived, you're going to be arrested. It's like that. That's how bad it is. So that is why people are just quiet, because what would they do? If they say something, they're going to be arrested. Something is going to happen to them. But people have really highlighted to this issue of Mnangagwa and extending his presidency as something that is really questionable. But others also have said it's for the best of the country, considering countries like South Africa, where things are literally not going well when you have to elect your leaders or whatever that is going on. I don't know what you guys think about everything that is happening, especially with the big stories, the story of Imogen Mashazi, Gxasheka, Julius Mkhwanazi, and Kemi Behari, and what is going on with Julius Malema and the tenders. And guys, it's crazy. It's crazy in our country. But you know what? Let me hear what you think. Drop your thought. If you want to comment 7 times about all these topics, feel free. Then what happens next? What is going to happen next starting from tomorrow? So from tomorrow, guys, we are about to hear the IDAC, the explosives about the IDAC. What a time to be alive, because the IDAC has been under a lot of scrutiny recently. And I've made a lot of episodes criticizing the IDAC, the actions. Even here in this episode, did speak about the IDAC in relation to Kemi Behari, Khan, and everybody else that Andrea Johnson has been accused of having some relationships with, who are really, really shady characters. So now we're about to hear the testimonies of Witness M and Witness O. I don't know, is it Witness M and O? That's where we are. N or M? That's where we are. But those people, I think, are going to be testifying partially. I don't know if it's going to be partially in camera or they're going to just be in camera. But we are starting the IDAC segment. And I don't know, are you excited? I am so excited because of the fact that, yeah, the IDAC, it's currently on the spotlight with everything happening in our country. We want to know how bad is the rot. And we want to know, what is Andrea Johnson going to say? We want her in the Madlanga Commission. We've been waiting for her at the Madlanga. Not that thing she was doing there at the ad hoc being called Mama Win. We want her now to respond at the Madlanga Commission. And yo, guys, I'm so excited.
Yeah, for me, this is quality leadership coming from a black woman. You answer questions properly, you give us information, well articulate. There will be more challenges. They come inherently with being a female leader. We all have, issues that we might not have handled properly. It's part of growth. It's part of becoming more experienced and then dealing with matters differently going forward. And when you live here, this should never, I heard you saying I'm very angry, it must never be one of the issues that are going to distract you from fighting crime and fighting corruption. You came here, we shared that information with you. On a hindsight means I'm more clever now, and you should take it in that spirit and continue to fight. I thought Winnie Mandela died, but Winnie Mandela has multiplied. Thank you very much.
So another great news besides the IDAC is that the President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to extend the Madlanga Commission. Great news, I must say. But I still think, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked that he didn't make it to run until next year. And that it looks like October will be the end and the report needs to be in by November. But we'll see how it goes. That little time, Khan would have recovered. He will testify. Karim will be healed. He will testify. No more excuses. And also as a disclaimer, guys, yesterday I uploaded a video about Ungele, and after uploading, normally I sit at home, wait for your notifications, your comments, so that I can reply. Guys, I didn't receive even one. Not even one. Like, I even thought that the video has no views. Not even one. Because I didn't check. Normally when I upload, I wait for you guys to engage with me. Then I'm going to start replying because there's other things that I do. And there was not even one notification. I was shocked today that, Kandi people were engaging with the video, and I did not even reply to one comment. Don't take it too hard and be like, hey, ugeli, akasphendulu zenza ngcono. No, angizenzi ngcono, guys. I'm not doing ngcono. No, I'm not. I genuinely am waiting for notifications, and if the notifications don't come, I don't go. I just think that, because there's times, guys, where y'all don't watch. There's times where people don't watch, and there's nothing wrong with that. It happens. If the topic is not as interesting, it's fine. But I thought, people are not watching. I'm sorry, guys, if I did not reply, because I know I did not even reply even to one, because I did not receive any notifications. Now there's just a lot of comments. I don't even know where to start. So I'm sorry. I will improve. I think also YouTube and the algorithm, I don't know if it's algorithm, but it's YouTube. Maybe it's not really giving me notifications because it's been almost a week without posting. And now since I'm back, I've just been back yesterday. Maybe, I don't know what's going on. How can I call that? But I promise that, guys, I will try. I'll try. I'll try to improve. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear what you think about everything that is happening in our country. Are you excited? How are you feeling? Are you sad? Let me hear everything you think. Comment it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share to your family, share to everybody. Tell them that D is on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on my next upload. Bye.
Well, at this stage, we cannot rule out the possibility of effecting further arrests, but I think it's quite important to send a stern warning out there that it is illegal for any member of the public, a civilian, to utilize or fit blue lights on their private vehicles. It is in contravention of the National Road Traffic Regulations. It is a criminal offence for any civilian to fit and utilize blue lights.